In the previous module, I just mentioned that there are two ways to see writing. One is writing for learning, and the other is writing to communicate. So first, we'll look at writing for learning and its implications for second language teaching, second language classroom context, right? Writing for learning is used to teach grammar, to teach vocabulary, to teach punctuation, to teach punctuation and then spellings and grammar and words, right? It has its own significance in the syllabus. And if we look at syllabus in our Pakistani context from class 1 to 9th and 10th, we may find that most of the lessons are based on developing writing for learning skill, right? And it's one of the major component of most of the syllabuses, right? Of course, teaching writing, varies from situation to situation. For example, writing an email to the principal would be different from that of writing an email to the teacher, or writing an email to a friend would be different. So writing for learning actually helps add not only the lexical storage of the students, but also help develop their grammatical competency, right? There are various processes involved in writing for learning, and we need to, as language teachers, we need to keep in view these processes. One of the processes is to help students, encourage them to think before they write, and that will help them organize and plan, and then also think about what content to be chosen and what kind of content and in what sequence the content needs to be presented. And in this regard, the teacher can teach writing for learning through the use of guided tasks, which we have discussed in our previous modules. So writing for learning not only helps develop linguistic proficiency, but also helps develop reflective habit of editing and revising. And it's important to mention here that when the students are writing for learning, how we respond to their written texts. We need to we need to see their texts as a process, not as a product, and we need to see their texts patiently and give feedback which is constructive, positive, and which engenders the element of self-esteem and positive identity, right? Let's not forget the element of process trap, that we teach students not to overthink about planning, so that they are trapped by overthinking and they delay their writing. Over planning can affect negatively the elements of spontaneity and creativity. So rather, the students can be asked to do much work on their second or third draft, and it's important to keep in view when we teach them writing for learning. Actually, we need to keep in view, as language teachers, the individual differences. Not all students are of same proficiency level, or not all of them have the same knowledge, not all of them have the same strategies. Some may be more successful, some may be less proficient. So it's important that we keep in view the individual differences, and when we design groups, we need to design those groups with mixed proficiencies, right? So writing for learning is actually time bound, because we need to teach our students about the writing constraints, for example, how to do a task in a particular time. We need to make students identify the difference between speaking and writing, how speaking is void of punctuation and writing is requires spellings and punctuation and discourse markers. And so this is how writing for learning is important, and writing for communication is important. Writing for learning actually develops the lower levels of skills like spelling, punctuation, grammar, and vocabulary. So the role of the teacher is important to give feedback, constructive feedback to the student, so that they stay on the right track and so that they can reflect and find out the gap between the current and desired performance.